Hey Kim, lovely to see you again, my friend. How have you been?
I've been fantastic. Great to see you too.
Listen, did you have a wonderful weekend? Oh, it's blue skies here. I mean, do you get up too much?
Great weekend. Covered. Yeah, I uh, I had a lot of little issues that I had to look after, and everything's fantastic.
Life issues or family issues or business issues or just
No, just household issues, things around the house.
21st century problems? Yeah, it's what happens when you live in a mansion. You have all these little things that go wrong, my friend. So you got to always tend to it.
That's it. Maintenance.
Maintenance, I love it. Kim, I've got a wonderful topic I want to discuss with you. And we're going to, again, as always, break this down into some bullet points. I'm going to throw something at you, then I'm going to look for your insight and look for your philosophy, and then we'll just get into a bit of a discussion. And really, it's all about why a person's motivation sometimes wanes along the way, and how can they keep it alive? Most people, they start off with this gung-ho attitude. Then they're going to solve all the problems. They're going to make all this money. They're going to create this new business, fly internationally. They're going to conquer this and conquer that. And they start off with some pure intentions. And then for the vast majority of people, it kind of like goes downhill. And there's a number of reasons why. And I just really I've written an unbelievable book, a best-selling book I want you to talk about, and it's about goals. And for some people, if you've got no clear goals, your motivation's gonna just dissipate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really one of my favorite things, and as you mentioned, that best-selling book, "The Magic of Written Goals:
I
How
know.
to
Yeah.
Turn Your Dreams into Reality." And in the title, there is some magic, and it says the magic of written goals. There's a magic that happens when you actually put pen to paper, and when you put pen to paper, it actually talks to your brain. That's a bit more of a commitment, but one of the key aspects of it is they've got to be clear. They've got to be, I think it was Paul J. Meyer that said, "What you vividly imagine." And he says a little poem that says, "What you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass." But the first one is what you clearly imagine. So they've got to be clear. The goals have got to be clear. And I know that, people talk about measurable goals and smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. And there, that's important. In my book, I talk about 8 different columns to setting a goal.
Well,
And
goal setting's a topic that we can go on with forever. But again, I think you've really said step one. If you've really got no clear, vivid goals for what you want to achieve, you're not going to stay motivated forever. And I think another one is maybe if you've got no emotional connection to what you're actually doing, you've got no real, my heart's in this and I've got passion for it. If you're not emotionally connected to a project, in time, you'll get swayed to something else, won't you?
look, yeah, and I also talk to people about it's reasons. You've actually got to write them down. Emotional reasons. How will it make me feel? How will it make my partner feel? How will it make my children feel? How will it make my family feel? And you've got to write paragraphs on how they will feel. That's where the emotion gets connected up. And emotion is what they do say. Well, emotion revolves and turns the world around.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about writing it down is that, how would you feel once you've achieved it? So if you can imagine yourself 2 years from now, 3, 5 years from now, and you've done the work and if you've achieved your project, being in that future whilst you're presently trying to work your way there, that's a great one to have an emotional connection to keep you on track. Because quite often, most people burn out. and they get fatigued along the way because of a variety of reasons, Kim.
Look, yeah, it's really you've got to, when you set the goals, you've got to have time limit. It's got to be, it can't be too close uh, or too far away. If it's too close, I liken it to, a submarine with a torpedo. You're looking through the torpedo with submarine, sorry, and you're looking and if the ship's too close and you send the torpedo out, it will blow up the ship and you. If it's too far away, well, it'll peter out. And that's what happens. If the goal is too far away, oh, someday I'll, do it. I'll someday. So the law of diminishing intent gets you. If it's too close, oh, can I do it? And it's just too close and you give up.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you've got you understand that in the time limits that you set that, and maybe that's the time that you sit down a mentor and a coach or somebody that helps you set the time. I have a great phrase that says, inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it's hard. And you've got to have that feedback, that of your progress towards your goal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just on the burnout and fatigue, just on that point again, the reality is that if you're all in on something, I've always said you're probably out of balance with something else as well. I mean, you can go all in, and sometimes you're achieving something to some detriment, and it could be family, it could be kids' time, it could be your own health. I mean, if you got to keep it in balance, and I know you're pretty much protector of your time through your calendar, and you've got priorities in your life for the things that you want to achieve. And I think, you always taught me that if it's not scheduled, it's not important. You know what I mean? It's just something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, everybody tries to have that balance. And I talk about it also is that, you've got six areas of your life. You need family, your business, your financial area, your spiritual, your mental, what are you reading, your physical, what are the exercises you're doing, all those different areas. And try to have a balanced, set of goals. But here's the thing, you know, I've never found that you can actually really have it balanced. Even if you're walking, you're walking on one foot and then another foot. So it's you can never have it totally balanced. You can choose one, and you can say, okay, I can take away a little bit from there, but I got to remember that my family is really important. So it's a matter of communication. Sometimes, sitting down with your family and saying, hey, look, I want to achieve this. This is my goal. I might have to take less time with the family, but if we achieve this, this is what our family's going to go. We're going to go on a trip to Disneyland or whatever the you got to give yourself a little bit of a prize or a gift when you achieve your goal, and then you've got the support of the rest of the family at the same time.
Yeah, I mean again, this is another whole conversation of debate. I mean, you never want to miss the opportunity to see your kids grow up, and you want to attend all their school functions and school events. But there's an important meeting that I got to do, and Daddy's got to do this. So again, the balance of what are you going to miss for the price of success? And sometimes there is that price to pay. I see this in elite sportsmen, sometimes entertainers. They lose their childhood. They lose stuff because they're so dedicated to become successful. And unfortunately, again, you can't buy back your time. So I think balance is an important thing to have. And like you said, you've got to borrow time from somewhere for the ultimate success. But another one was also lack of progress. So, a lot of people, when they put time and effort and energy in, and they don't see themselves getting somewhere, then they can lose motivation real quick as well.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned about you need to have a mentor, or you need to have some sort of feedback, and peers or coaches, to help you out with that. But you need to celebrate small wins. regularly. That's why it's, you incrementalize your goal. You've got to incrementalize it to small steps. Inch by inch it's a cinch, yard by yard it's hard, but incrementalize so that you understand that if you do these little things each day, the goal will be achieved. And the compound effect will come into play. So and you can use your journals, charts, photos, but it's important to celebrate those wins and give yourself a present of some sort. And sometimes the presents are the things that actually get you to really help you achieve your goal. Maybe the goal wasn't really your goal. It was, a goal that was put together by the family. It's one of those things I did mention earlier about crystallizing your thinking. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't achieve their goals is it wasn't really their goal. It was a goal put on by their peer group or their teachers or their family and so forth.
And that's such good wisdom and insight, Kim. I mean, enrolling the right people around you. On the other side of that, that if you're trying to achieve something and you're really motivated by a project, a task, an opportunity, and you haven't enrolled people to come your way, that negative influence of the people that are around you, why are you doing that? The arrows of the tongue from the loved ones can often just, you can lose motivation, I suppose, can't you?
Yeah.
No, Kim, it's a really interesting topic we've talked about here. Motivation wanes, and how to keep it alive. The reality is, I think motivation, like anything, is a daily practice. The reality is you've got to wake up every morning, stay on point, discipline yourself to the task, keep your clarity, and everything gives you that fuel to be motivated. By association, I want to talk about this because we're big into this. It's great to, and you mentioned the word mentor. You just need a few good people around you that just cheerlead you. It makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Look, yes, it's you got to be careful though. Don't tell everybody your goals. Keep it to your mentor, your coach, somebody that you trust, somebody that's maybe involved in the same sort of thing that you're doing, because people are funny. Outside people sometimes, will their jealousy will come into play, and so sometimes it's good to keep your goals to yourself. Maybe have a couple of close people that you're telling it to, because other people will try to put the downer on you. They don't want you to succeed. They want to keep you, because it puts pressure on them. If you're achieving, therefore they feel bad. So, surrounding yourself with the right people is really, it's one of those real key things. It's having the five people that you mainly associate with, but just be careful.
Yeah, yeah. And stand guard to the doorway of your mind. And it's a great Jim Rohn saying that we often talk about and we quote Jim all the time. Kim, thank you again for your time here. It's always a pleasure sharing this platform with you.
My pleasure. And if any of you out there are, thinking that this information was that you'd like to share, it's important that you share it with any of your friends. At the same time, if you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe and let us know whether you want to join us on our upcoming newsletter that will be going out to everybody.
That's going to be exciting. Thanks, Kim, once again.
Well, no problems. Thank you.